I realized that everyone, right, is studying really hard, right, to get that 4.0 GPA. It used to be from LSE, correct? And then after that, you decided to drop out halfway to pursue your own business.
Finding a co-founder is very difficult. It's the hardest thing.
$0 to $1 million. So maybe what kind of advice would you give this person like right now in this day and age? I think the first question that we can start is, I mean, yourself, you have ran like many businesses before, right? And you're also right now a managing partner at Founder Venture Capital, right? So I think maybe, is there any advice that you have for maybe someone who is like in their early 20s or maybe for a younger version of yourself who are still figuring out? Is there any advice you have for them?
So I mean, for the young, I think very different from what we have
In the past.
Yeah, like 16, 17 years ago, when we do not have such a complete startup ecosystem. Right now, you have a very good support in terms of starting up. The government is coming here, is helping. The venture capitalists is here. There are like 800 of them, right? Whereas 16 years ago, you hardly hear of anyone. So the ecosystem has matured so much. If I were at your age now, I would rather be doing something like starting up, taking some risk, because at this time when you are like 23, 24, like you are in your uni first year, second year, third year, you can still afford to fail, because that's not your concern, right? Your concern is your studies. You need to make sure that at the end of the day you are getting your degree, right? And then if things do get well, like your startup actually grows, so you can take a gap year. So you always have a back door in a way. That's why at this point of time, you should really think of trying something out. Go out there, do something, and fail fast, or and reiterate, or join a team of founders and do something. But if this is not something that everybody can do, but so what these people can do, right, is actually go for more internships. Can join a VC, join a startup, join any company, do lots of internship, and get a lot of experience, right? Got a lot of work experience, know how to play the corporate game, and that will set you up very well, in a few years' time when you graduate. So for those who are very entrepreneurial, they can do something on the entrepreneurship side, join a team, or do something on themselves. For those who are not so entrepreneurial, they can actually do internships, as many as they can over their school life.
I think talking onto that point, I find myself in a situation in SMU where I realized that everyone, right, is studying really hard, right, to get that 4.0 GPA. I've heard from my seniors, from recruiters that says that, right, you need like a really good GPA to secure a good internship, right? And people are studying so hard to secure placements in like Goldman Sachs in investment banking, consulting in McKinsey. And I think I'm just thinking to myself, like, when is the sort of the right time to expose yourself to all these jobs and then realize that, okay, it's enough, like, and then switch back to like, or maybe doing something of your own and like changing the world?
So there's no right or wrong timing. I would say that do not put getting into Goldman Sachs or McKinsey or BCG or JP Morgan or whatever, all these big names. You don't have to be so obsessed with them, because at the end of the day, yes, you come out, you can say an intern at a big bank, but as you move along your corporate life, you realize that all this doesn't really matter.
Really?
Yeah, you could intern for a big bank, but at the end of the day, right? Yeah, once you graduate, you're probably working at a small bank or a small company, right? Or SME. So all this doesn't really matter to you. What it mattered to you is that, okay, you learn something because it's a very structured place. Right? MNCs are a very structured place with tons of SOPs, and you probably got like hundreds of people guiding you in the same team, resources that you can get, which you will not get as an SME. So you learn a lot, right? But then when you come out, after your graduation, you are really into the job market. So you transition yourself into the job market. You realize, yes, I have all this support. I learn a lot. At the end of the day, when I learn, I have to transfer it, the skills that I've learned into the marketplace. So it doesn't matter really whether I intern in a big name or a small name, right? Because yes, resources, they have many resources that can help me grow, but at the same time, when you intern at a smaller company like a startup, you actually also can learn the same thing, right? And you probably learn even more because you're going to be very hands-on, right? So you are there to learn the skills where you can transfer into a company. And then when you work in a small company, your time in a big company doing internships, right, really doesn't really matter, because if I were the boss, I'll look at, okay, you intern at McKinsey, okay, so what have you learned while you're at McKinsey, right? I probably learned nothing apart from doing a bunch of jobs. Then to the boss, it's like, yeah, big names, but you have learned nothing, then why should I be hiring you then?
Yeah.
Versus I could be interning at a startup, and I do a lot of hands-on stuff, building the company for them, and then I came out and said, oh yeah, I might just be interning at a startup, but I help them to do ABC, EFG, and I have all these skills. If I was the boss, like, wow, cool, there's something. So when should one person decide, right? Come back to the question, second question. When do you decide to really do something is when you feel that there's a market gap. So whether it's in a startup or in a big company, actually it really doesn't matter. As long as you work, right? As you do your internship, you realize that, okay, there's a certain market gap there that you think you can exploit and do something. Or while you're interning, you look at the consumer market, or the customer base that these companies are actually focusing on, and realize there's actually more that you can offer to the customers than what these companies are offering. So then it's like, I should really jump out, right? And like I mentioned earlier, there's already a very mature startup ecosystem to help. So unlike 16, 17 years ago, right now in Java, there's a lot of support you can get to really get you from 0 to 1. So I think as long as you see a gap, try it.
Understand. I think this is quite an interesting topic also, is because I remember last time when we had our first meeting, you said that you used to be from LSE, correct? And then after that you decided to drop out halfway to pursue your own business. So like, what was going on like in your mind during that point of time? Because I would imagine that LSE, when you graduate, you have stability, right? You can find jobs and stuff.
Yeah, so here's the thing, right? Like, you think about people like Bill Gates, right? Think about people like Mark Zuckerberg. All these people, one of the things they have is that they know what they are doing, right? And yes, come to a point where you have to decide what you want to do next, right? So give an example, like when Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook, right? He was in his second year, right? And that was in I think 2004. And then he started building Facebook, right? And then he saw the success of Facebook. Right? So to him, there's only two choices in front of him, right? Continue with Harvard, and put this as a back burner, right? So you won't be able to dedicate as much time as you can, or skip school, like quit Harvard, and put your heart to it, right? And start doing and continue building it. I think he chose the latter, and that's where we got today. Same thing, the belief that I know what I think I was doing really prompted me to say, okay, I'm also faced with the same choice right now. Either I put more time to doing my company, I focus on studies, and like 6 months a year, I will be focusing on my studies, and I can't do much there. So there come to a point where you have to make that decision in life. So I chose the other one. Yeah, and that's history. Yeah.
So do you think that the life that you chose right now is a better path that you enjoy more?
Some regrets, but no, I don't think it was wrong, given the circumstances and given what I think was right. And over time, like they're very different from 5-6 years ago. You realize that having a degree is not so important anymore, especially as you grow older. Right? Yes, you need a degree when you're in the 20s. Why? You need to tell people that you actually can struggle and persevere through 4 years of unrelenting studies and boring lessons. Right? So, and you actually are able to write a 15,000 word essay. Right? That's what you show people. Right? So that degree is to tell people that, oh, you have successfully written a paper, thesis, you successfully completed, 20 over modules, and you're still surviving. Right? So that is what the paper shows, right? And you probably have some additional good skills that you acquired. But you realize today, as you grow older, you realize that what employers are looking for is not so much about that degree anymore. It's about your work experience, right? Because you can have a lot of theoretical knowledge, but if you do not have practical knowledge, then all you have is just in your brain, right? You don't exercise it, right? Which is why even when you go for your driving license, other than basic theory, you need to do a final theory, right? And then you need to go for a practical exam, right? So you can do all the theory, but then you have practical, you fail, right? So why? Because you cannot just have head knowledge. You need to have hands-on experience. So as you grow older, you realize that that is more valuable, right? And I think at this age where I am, probably going back to school will be a not so good idea. Yeah. But I never regretted what I did. Yeah.
Just now you said that you had some regrets. Like maybe if you're open to share, what kind of regrets?
My only regret is I didn't get a paper.
That's like
that is pretty much it. Because, well, I mean, being in Singapore, right? Like we are all obsessed with the piece of paper, that degree that tells you that, haha, you have graduated from something. So, so when you decide to drop off, you won't get that piece of paper, right? You probably get a transcript, but that's it. And your transcript is not even complete. Yeah, so that will be my regret. Probably lifetime regret if I don't go back to school. Yeah.
But does that transcript, let's say if you don't have the degree, does it affect like your life so far now? I mean, like why is it important that you'll regret it though?
Well, a degree, right, is actually pretty much a good backdoor, right? Especially if you're pursuing entrepreneurship, if things don't happen, a degree actually is a good door opener. It doesn't guarantee you a job, but at least it gets you the door. It gets you to the door. Whether you get a job or not is really up to you. But then that piece of paper is there. So it's a very good safety net for entrepreneurs. If anything don't happen, doesn't work out for you, at least this piece of paper can still get you to the door of the corporate.
I think I was talking to like one of my mentors, right, and I asked him why is there like so little people in SMU who's doing their own business, because he runs his own business and he's doing quite well. He said that the opportunity cost, right, for starting your own business, right, and neglecting your studies and affecting your GPA, the opportunity cost is very high, right? Most people want like comfort, more stability, and they won't go for something that's so uncertain and can't guarantee and take years to show progress, not as quickly as, you know, the progress that they see in like the academics or even their internships and stuff like that. I think, do you think that the education system or like sort of the place that we are brought up really sort of like reduces us to take risks?
Tough question, but yes. When you're in a system, you pretty much have no choice. Because when you're in a system, you follow a structure, and you follow a structure because your teachers follows the structure, and you follow the structure, and the teacher has to follow the structure because at the end of it, right, when you go for your national exams, your PSLE, O level, A levels, it's all very structured as well, and your life pretty much depends on it, right? PSLE depends on which secondary school you can go. Right, depending on your score at PSLE, depending on your O levels, it either brings you to either of the tracks, right, like ITE, Poly, or JC, right? And at A levels, it's even worse. You only have a choice of getting up or staying there, right? And worse still, if you only have a A level, you really amount to nothing. But at least if you get a diploma, at least you get something. So at every stage is very structured, right? Okay, you come to this exam, PSLE. We are going to test you on all this, right? And then at O level, all this, A level, all this. So it comes back down to say, okay, because at the end of the day, you are going to be tested on this, then we just have built a structure on that. And because of that, the structure, what we mean, the structure is a curriculum, right? And because there's a curriculum, the teachers will follow this curriculum. And because the teachers follow this curriculum, the students have no choice but to be part of that. Yeah, so this is how the whole system plays into it. Being less risk-taking is not just our education system fault. It's also our environment, right? Because since young, right, like, parents send kids to tuition. Why? Rat race. So at a point where you are born, your parents already set you up to be part of this rat race. So if you try to deviate, right, your parents will scold you, right? So it's not just the education system's problem, it's also our environment, our family, right? All of us, we are part of this collective where we are so used to that structure that deviating from it, right, will lead to scoldings and maybe some people frown on it, things like that. So not so good. Yeah, and this is why people won't take risk. Yeah, and because being in an Asian society, we are pretty much communal species, right? So, and especially in Asia, we are very community spirited. So we are very much care about how people see us, right? It's unlike in the US where individualism, right, takes precedence. Yeah. I don't care how you look at me, right? This is what I want to do. I don't care, right? And I just do it, right? In Asia, okay, wow, I want to. What if I do this? My friend will see me how, then go out, then they look down on me how. Yeah. A lot of this pressure as well comes into play. So a lot of our society's fabric actually came together to make sure that we don't take that much risk.
So if someone who is in their early 20s wants to take that leap of faith, or maybe the audience, someone who's watching who wants to take that next step that is risky, maybe what sort of advice would you give them to push them out of their comfort zone?
Surround yourself with the right people. I don't know, but you've like SMU join a big program, or join from the institute. So anyway, join an accelerator or surround yourself with like-minded people, right? I think that's the most important. If you don't have that circle, right, you're gonna be very lonely. And people who don't think the way you think, even though if they're your friend, right, they'll find you like a weirdo. So you need to surround yourself with the right people. So if you're going to become an entrepreneur, you're going to step out and say, hey, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm not going to follow a system. And when the first thing you need to do is to surround yourself with people having the same mindset. It can be as simple as joining a club, entrepreneurship club, or join some sort of accelerator programs, and start being accountable to each other. Right? And that way, we will kind of shield you from the potential issues, especially in the mental health issues, that will probably set in when you're just alone and people will like keep coming back and forcing you to come back to the structure.
Okay. I think another interesting question I would like to ask also is, let's say someone in their early 20s, right, wants to get like from 0 to $1 million like in the quickest way. So in this, okay, maybe the quickest way isn't the best, but 0 to $1 million. So maybe what kind of advice would you give this person like right now in this day and age to achieve like $1 million?
Well, if you have a rich father, that's good. Rich parents, not bad. If you don't have a rich parent, for the rest of us, the fastest way to really reach $1 million, it depends on what you mean by $1 million, right? If $1 million in revenue, $1 million in net worth, or $1 million in your pocket, in savings or in deposits, right? So if you're going for $1 million revenue, the quickest way, probably, yes, like you mentioned, is probably not the best way. It will take, even the best products takes months or years to get there. So a non-VC funded startup will take around 3 to 4 years to get to Series A, which is like usually $1 million in revenue per year, revenue per year. So this is the time frame you can expect, right? So essentially your entire university life will be spent on building the company, fulfilling orders, right? And building up the team, getting yourself into the $1 million revenue side. If you talk about $1 million in net worth, it's much different thing, right? Because if you can show some traction and some VCs come invest in you, let's say for 500K for like 20%, and the company's worth is 2.5 million, and you hold 40% of it, straight away you're a millionaire.
That's true.
On paper, right? So, and to get them to invest in 500,000, it's not like you need $1 million in revenue. You probably need like $50,000-$60,000 in revenue, and there's a growth, consistent growth for 6 months. Yeah, people will be more than willing to bet on that, right? You have a very complete team, right? And then, and then a bunch of investors come and say, "Oh, we're going to put 500,000 to you for 20%, and happily you own 40% of the company. You're a millionaire." So that is very easy, right? The last one is about getting $1 million in your bank deposits, right? The fastest way is really what we say in Chinese, 钱滚钱. So you use your money, you roll, and then you got more money, you roll, you got more money. That is the fastest way, right? Otherwise, right, the next quickest way is that you actually put yourself to, or rather grow yourself to such a level that you're earning that kind of income yearly, right? Which will take, I don't know, if you're running a startup, probably 6-7 years. Yeah.
When you said that the money will grow by itself, do you mean by compound interest?
Yeah, compound interest. So because see, especially now, right, when the US Treasury bills, bonds, all these, the interest rate is at close to 5%. per annum. It's really a very good time to really invest into these low risk assets. Yeah, but of course, when we talk about invest, means you must have that money to invest first. Yeah, so but if you do have that money, invest in all these low risk and just like grow, is really compound.
I think it's very interesting that you broke it down into 3 perspectives of well, I think usually people will say like, okay, focus on sales, focus on this, but I think it's an interesting perspective that you broke it down into 3 different parts of how to become a millionaire. Okay, so I think moving on to the next phase of question is more towards like the business phase, because you yourself, you were a co-founder for a couple of companies. So what were sort of the worst or maybe hardest moments of that you face and encounter during those periods?
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. I think first of all, finding a co-founder is very difficult. It's the hardest thing. Because when you're looking for co-founder, you're basically looking for a partner that you're comfortable with and have to be comfortable with for 10 years. Right? And this is why Charlie Munger was really one of a kind. Right? He's stuck with Warren Buffett for decades.
Yeah.
As a number 2.
Yeah.
Right? Never clamor for number 1. Always been very satisfied with being number 2. Let Warren Buffett take the limelight. This kind of partner, rare. Really very rare. Especially one who can stick with you for 50 years. It's really very rare. So co-founders is always a very difficult part. But once you find a good co-founder, someone that you think you can work with for 10 years, the next thing is really going to the nitty-gritty details, ironing out who gets what, who is doing what, and all those kind of things, right? You get all those things ironed out. The next difficult part is to start it up, right? When you start it up, okay, you have a product, but you have to think about how do you build them, how do you sell the product, what kind of stories you want to tell people, right? What kind of markets you want to go after, right? Which are the markets that you want to go after, right? What are the channels you want to use to reach your customer base? All these are really very, very tough because you don't see instant success. It will take like 3-4 months to see it. So during that period, especially in the first month, you really see no growth or very little growth. And you start to like doubt yourself. Why am I doing this, man? Like, so tough. Do 2 weeks already, still at 0. Or like very few sales. So that was the point that you need to be mentally strong enough to say, yeah, it's only 2 weeks. This thing will take 3 months. Right? I still have 10 more weeks to go. So let's fight on. Right? You need to have that kind of gumption and perseverance to get past that first month. And then once you get past it and you start to see improvements, the next hardest part is to strategize your next steps. Right? Okay, so you started 3 months later. Oh yeah, you start to reap the benefits of it. Things like the rewards coming in, you're happy. But then now, your next step is to think about how you're going to grow. Right? If you want to grow, where are the customers going to come from? Where's the money going to come from? What type of products can I go into or expand myself into to really hit a different customer base? So all these questions sounds easy, but it's actually very, very tough, because then you're basically going back to the cycle, right? Okay, so you spend 3 months and then now you reap the benefits, you've got the rewards, and now you do it again. You come back again and do the same thing. Of course, now you're more excited about it. You don't fall into the kind of what am I doing it kind, but then still tough emotionally. So you come back to do it again. Right? So this is a never-ending cycle, right? You have to come into, and I think this is also a very hard part. So co-founder, the earliest part is the earliest part is the hardest. Finding good co-founder, and then finding a market, selling it. These are all, and then scaling it up. These are all very tough things to do. Yeah, which is why I think most founders, right, if they can get through the first cycle, or rather two similar cycles, they are actually very emotionally strong. They have a very high EQ, and they are able to see things from another perspective, the bird's eye view, the boss's view. And I guess this is also one reason why entrepreneurs tend to be more employable. Yeah, because we see things differently, we do things differently. And at this day and age, right, and these are very valued kind of skills, soft skills.
Okay, so based on those three mistakes or like hardest things that you've identified, were there any particular situation that it was like relevant to you, like in your own experience?
Yeah, finding co-founder is definitely one, because I don't have friends or schoolmates to tap in, because my own is really very weird. No one wants to go into insurance, technology. It's not a sexy kind of thing. It's not like Carousel or like Glint. I don't have that kind of sexy ideas. So it's very tough. So I remember that time I was finding co-founder. It took me like almost half a year. And when I talk about half a year, it's not half a year like meet someone once every 2 weeks or once every month. It's every day you consistently meet different people, every day, apart from weekends. So at times you probably have like 5 or 6 meetings. At the low time you have like 1 or 2. But there's a lot of cups of coffee that you're drinking. So I remember drinking like close to 50 over cups of coffee.
A week?
No, over 6 months. No, okay. A week a day? No.
I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah, but it's quite a lot of coffee back then, because I was meeting a lot of people locally and overseas. So in total, so 50 plus coffees because they are in Singapore. To those who are not in Singapore, I think in total we have like 150 plus, close to 200 people that we talked and met. Yeah. So luckily only 50 in Singapore. Otherwise I will have more coffees to drink. Probably will caffeine overdose really. But but this is a very tough thing, right? You have to talk to 200 people and then 199 of them will say no. Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, right, what keeps me going is very simple. It's like I don't need 200 people to say yes. Right? I just need one to say yes. Right, and then we can build from there. As long as I've got that one, it's more than enough. So I don't need 200 people to say yes to me. I don't need to go for all the yeses. Right? I can go for all the no's. Doesn't matter. That's all good. But then as long as there's one yes, I think I've won. So I think that is what kept me going back then. Yeah, but it's hard. It's definitely very hard.
Yeah, doesn't sound easy at all. Actually, I was thinking back, like what stage of your startup company was it at that you had to like find you could reach out to so many co-founders?
So you just said, so there was the point of time where we were having another team. Like I've got another team. So we have this product that we created, not perfect. But sellable. And then two of the partners, they left to pursue other interests. So then I'm left with this thing here, right? So at the moment I realized that it's very hard to do it alone, right? because I'm not technical. So at least I need a technical guy, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I see the need for co-founders is go down there. And back then we don't have those kind of no-code stuff. We don't have Flutter, we don't have Bubble, we don't have all this kind of thing. So definitely we need someone who can do technical stuff. Right? And this is why we went on the quest to actually find a co-founder.
So I think also maybe in your career as a business, right? Like starting a business, and you started a few businesses, correct? Like 2 or 3, is it?
4.
4 businesses.
Yeah.
So were there any like defining moments in any of like these businesses, like wow, like you remember very clearly like a milestone that you achieved?
Quite a few. When I was doing the first one is a traditional business, it's enrichment center. But the moment came when we successfully venture overseas. So we secured a partner in Kazakhstan. And it's not a country that people talk about back then, 10 years ago. So when you say that, oh yeah, we have partner in Kazakhstan, what kind of country is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, back then it wasn't really well known 10 years ago. Now, yeah, a lot more people know where Kazakhstan is. So yeah, there was a very defining moment because realized that, oh yeah, the product that we have, traditional as it is, there's always a demand out there.
Okay.
I think the second defining moment comes when we were running my third company, an IoT automated parking system. One of the things we see is that Singapore has no market for it because it's dominated by government, right? You see all this ERP stuff, right? When you have an ERP system, then you have that unit, in-vehicle unit, you know you are not going to get anywhere with anything else. Because all the tech will be based on that. So you can see all the car parks today basically based on that scan, that infrared scanner. So we knew at the point of time we need to get out, but where, right? And that's where we participated in a kind of a program, not really a program, but selection program, where we got ourselves to Dubai as the top 20. Anyway, pitch, and to our surprise, Visa Middle East, the Visa card, Middle East, actually is quite interesting, a project. Right? They wanted to trial a project in Dubai, because in Dubai you don't have those kind of parking system. It's not dominated. Yeah. And their road pricing system back then in 2016 is just starting. They only have one gantry. Right? It's not like us. We already have a lot of ERP gantries. They only have one. So they don't have that kind of infrastructure yet. So it's a very good opportunity for us to get in there. So that was a very good moment for us. Like, okay, a company like Visa actually wanted us. Of course, some mistakes along the way. But then the last one is when I was doing this insurance tech. First, I started out knowing that Singapore will not be a market, because Singapore, when you work with MNC, right, it's like working with the government. It's the same thing. You need to go out there, prove yourself, then you come back. So you have to do one detour. Yeah. So it's quite difficult when you are not from the country. So let's say I'm trying to sell to the Japanese, but I'm not from Japan. I'm from Singapore and I try to sell to Japanese. It's very difficult. Not just because culturally or linguistically you face a problem, but also you do have competition right within the country. So it was really tough for us, having to fight on both fronts, like the cultural linguistic front and also the local competitors front. So what we did is that we need to move fast. We need to find our way out to really make sure that we get in contact with the right people. And And the defining moment actually came when suddenly we actually got selected into a startup bootcamp in Melbourne. So that actually started our overseas expansion. Our first customer is actually our second customer. First one is the Japanese. Second customer is Australian. Right? That we didn't expect. Right. So when you get out there, okay. Despite all these like market issues, local market, we are not there, and we go to travel inside. At least we got two customers from two different countries, so we can finally like showcase ourselves, what we can do. Yeah, I think those are very good moments over the past, I don't know how many years, decade plus.
What was the month or maybe the year where you all had the highest revenue? Like if it's okay to say.
I think it's around August.
Yeah.
When we have one huge order, but that was the highest. But in between, like there's a few months where there's a pocket of spikes and then lows. Yeah, but if you talk about the highest of it, I think it's around there.
Got millions.
No lah. Yeah, but it's a high, low six figure, but high. But it's good. But it's good for us because, in a way, because when you're doing software, you need to watch your pricing, right? Because there's competitors out there. You need to watch your pricing. You cannot charge too high because there's always substitutes, right? Alternatives that people can use.
Yeah.
Might not be as good as you, but at least it works for me.
Yeah.
So you need to watch your pricing. So very, very hardly you can actually get $1 million out of it. Especially for a startup. Unless you are think like a company, large consulting company like Accenture, where you can just charge. There's a famous case, I think, is it Accenture or someone else actually charged Hertz $12 million just to do an app. Yeah. The Hertz is the car rental company. It's either Accenture or some other tech consultancy company. They charge them $12 million.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but it's only the kind of companies with that kind of scale, right, can ask for those kind of money. Yeah.
So, like from starting your business and all, right, and then transiting to becoming a VC. So what made you decide that I want to become a venture capitalist?
So back in 2020, I actually during COVID time, I was approached by the FIHQ team in Silicon Valley, the Founder Institute team, to say, okay, what they say, like, is along the line where, okay, we have great successes over the past few years, but over the first few years of running a Singapore program, and we haven't had any programs for the past 5 years because the previous team stopped doing it. So anyone wants to take over and relaunch this program in Singapore, because Singapore is still a very valuable place. Yeah. It's still a very good place to have a program like this. So back then there's only 5 of us who are Singapore based. So none. I think there's a few replies that no, not going to take it, no time. So yeah, sure, I'll take it. Right, I'll see how I can contribute. So that was 2020, and then we ran. In fact, we just graduated another cohort yesterday. So that was our last cohort. So we have 3 cohorts, like 2021, 2022, and this year, which just graduated yesterday. When I finished with the second cohort last year, right? I was thinking, a lot of the companies that we graduated at didn't really give us their reports. So we're thinking how I can actually get them to send your quarterly update so we can understand how to help you better. Because at the end of the day, Founders Institute is all about helping founders.
Yeah.
And we talk about a lifetime of support. So you pay one fee, you come in, we support your life for life. The thing is, if we don't know where you are, we cannot help you. And there's and in Singapore especially, people tend to think that, okay, I joined Accelerator because I want to, it's the fastest way to fundraise. Not true, but because there's so many accelerators here giving away money, so it builds into the minds of local people, of the local founders, right? So they will say, okay, I'm here, I want to raise funds. I join you, you must give me money. It became that kind of thing already. So okay, and then one thing I like back then is that because I don't come from VC, so even if I can tell you until the cows go home that it's not what you think. It's not so easy. Yes, you can easily get 100,000, 150,000, but yeah, that is the easiest part because you join Accelerator, they are obliged. You sign a deed. It's not about that part of money. It's about the next stage. It's not about you joining an Accelerator program, then suddenly a bunch of investors, I love you, I'm going to give you $1 million. In order for me to show you that it's not so easy and to convince you, right? And also, a part of me really is a way for me to just expand the kind of help I can give to founders, right? So I can give founders my time, give advice, but at the end of the day, there's more that I think I can give. So combining all these factors, I went to start a fund to say, okay, now, coming from the fund, I can tell you that it's very difficult. You want my money, it's not so easy. And for those who I put my money in, it's also very difficult. It's not like, oh yeah, you came through this program, you get a investment from them because it's their accelerator program, so they invest in you, and then all you need to do is to just come and tell me, oh yeah, I get investment from this company, from this accelerator, you should fund me. I have to tell them, or rather I have to make them realize that this is not the case. It's not that just because you went through a very famous accelerator, you can just like Pa Long Long come and tell me and ask me for money. It doesn't work that way.
So what are some of the things that you see to like filter out whether you want to invest in this company or not?
So definitely being in a famous accelerator doesn't help.
Like Y Combinator?
Yes, even with the Y Combinator or some other local ones who I don't want to mention, it's not going to help. At the end of the day, what helps, right? And what makes Y Combinator such a successful program is that it's not because they give founders 500,000. It's because the network they can access after it. Like, can you imagine you have access to the founders of Airbnb? Weeks. Right? These are all the founders or people you can tap on once you graduate because you are the same alumni network. Can you imagine you can tap onto them? Right? Oh, now I know Brian Chesky. Oh, wow. It's the network they can give. And of course, the second thing is the traction you've built. When you join, because of the competition, right, every year there's about 20 over 1,000 startups that apply to join YC, and only like 600 get selected, so it's only top 3%. Right? Yeah. It's harder to get
into that in Europe, right, or something.
Yeah, it's easier to get into Harvard than to get into IC. So in order to squeeze yourself into that 3%, right? Or rather the 90, in order to squeeze yourself to become the 97th percentile, you really need good traction, right? So by the time when you actually join YC, you already have a very polished story because you already started selling, right? Other than that, or you have a very, very strong team. Like, for example, you're doing some space-related thing, the whole team comes from NASA. Right? All our engineers, and one that has been a director of NASA, right? So a director of NASA leading 2 other engineers. What's there not to give, man? Right? So either that or they're very good traction. So when you join, they're already selling it or have a very good team. So it's easy, right? So and then the next few months, I look at you while you're actually growing, right? What you go in Y Combinator, you actually expanded your client base. It's not it's that, oh yeah, I know about interesting. It's not like that. It's like, oh, I went in, I've 600 other people that we work together. So you support me, I support you, okay, and then I can tap on the network. I sell to the network. I've got something probably suits Airbnb and maybe can sign some contract with Airbnb. So at the end of it, right, you realize that you actually 1.5x your in that 3 months, you actually 1.5x your revenue, or double your revenue, or triple your revenue. So if I'm an investor, I come in on a demo day, you just need 2 minutes to tell me where are you, and tell me, oh yeah, 3 months, I come into this program at 100,000, now I'm at 300,000. Right? What's the end of the gift? Right? Why? There's nothing from, I mean, the numbers is very telling you, okay, and you have signed some contracts with some big companies because these people link to up. Then, as an investor, I look at it, right? You have tripled your revenue in such a short time, and you have such a great network of people that can connect you to anyone else in the United States. Then obviously I will not hesitate, right? Just take and grow faster. Give me back, so I can give me back my money faster. So I think that is the consideration. Yeah, so definitely it's not so much about accelerator, but the network and the traction that you have. Yeah.
So when you evaluate companies, you see their traction in terms of how much they have grown and how much they have progressed, right? Like in terms of producing results, right?
Yeah, so even at FI, right? Because one of the things I do at Founder Institute Singapore, my own program, is that for 14 weeks, right, I will not push you to do your product. I will not push you to do up your tech, right? But what I will push you is get more customers. I'll push you to get more customers from day one. I'll push the founders, right? Where are your customers? Do you have growth? Have you talked to them? Right? If you haven't talked to them, why are you here? Right, okay, so have you done interviews? No interviews? Have you started selling? Have you started doing up landing pages? Right? Have you started collecting pre-orders? If you haven't done anything of those, then what are you doing? Right? Because before you can sell a product, you need to have a market. It's like this bottle of water, right? If there's no market for this bottle of water, and then you make this bottle of water, then for what? It's just wasting time, energy, and probably money, and probably warehouse space, right? So, but if you have customers, right? Without this bottle, you already start selling, and there's, oh yeah, I like this. I like the idea you have the bottled water. Then you ask them, okay, do you mind placing a deposit? No, but I can give you a commit. Then it gives you that energy to say, then I need to quickly think about how to do it. Because at the end of the day, then you don't even need to think about how to package it, because people want it. So you don't need to do a very good design, just a bottle with water and right? And then after that, you talk about packaging it. But you already started generating revenue from there. So I think for me, it's really a lot of customers, on the customer focus.
So once they get customers and they get traction, then they'll know what to do next, really, right?
Yeah, because your customers dictate your direction, right? So basically, if you don't have customers, right, you're just like a headless fly trying to find a direction, right? So let the customers direct you.
Is there any advice that you have for entrepreneurs, like maybe who are seeking funding? So I think just now we brought about the 3 points, right? Traction, network, and what's the last one again?
Team.
The team, correct. So, but let's say someone who's starting out from the very start, right? What are some of the things that they should do, and what are some of the common mistakes that they should avoid?
First mistake, don't think about fundraising.
Okay.
Because, and especially this is quite prevalent in Singapore. Having run three cohorts right now, and talked to hundreds of startups, it's very prevalent. The first thing they ask, do you give me funding? Do you grant me funding? Can I get funding? No. Funding is to accelerate a business, not to build a business. Nobody gives you money to build a product. Nobody gives you money to hire people, but we give you money to accelerate your growth. So you must be growing, right? Otherwise, how to accelerate?
Yeah.
So that's the first mistake. Don't go around asking for money. Go around asking for advice. I think there's a famous saying: you ask for money, you get advice. You ask for advice, you get money. So ask for advice. And focus on customer first. Build up the brand. Start collecting customer first. Because when you have numbers, then you can talk about fundraising. Right? So first of all, get advice. Second, get customers. These two are the most important thing as a startup. Because for VCs we are just human and we are not knowledgeable in every single industry.
Yeah.
Right. Most of them here in Singapore are all numbers people. They will tell you, oh, I come from investment banking background, finance person. So, oh, finance person. What do you tell to a finance person if you are selling food stuff, like healthy food stuff, and he's trying to convince a finance guy? You're like, huh? What do I know? The only thing I know, or rather the only thing a finance guy knows is numbers. Right? Especially if they are investment bankers. Then all they look at, right? Because in investment banking, we are basically doing investments, right? So your instruments are those very traditional instruments, which are all dictated by the numbers. So same thing, they bring the whole concept and say, okay, just give me numbers, right? Just give them numbers, but not any sort of number, but actionable numbers. Things like, okay, your revenue, growth, churn, user base, user growth, right? If you're doing monthly active user, daily active user, and all these actionable insights they can give. And these are actually the things that you should be telling. So where do you get this number from when you start selling?
Based on all those companies, right, that were under you in those batches, right? Like, and for those that you decide to put your money in, were there any that were like you saw huge success, but were there any also that maybe didn't turn out as planned?
Founder Institute, because we are so early.
Yeah.
We are so early in the sense that as long as you have an idea, you join us. So, but there are, well, I would say there's a few that has a success. I think our 2021 cohort, there's a dentist selling something similar to Invisalign. He came in with just an idea. He went away with pre-orders of about 12K. Yeah. In 14 weeks, so that's not bad, right? This year we have another one doing pay equity software, SaaS. Also came in with a half-baked idea. Went out of the program, finished the program yesterday with I think 3 or 4 partnerships and 2 LOIs or something. Yeah. So those are great successes. Then of course there are also some that rather quite a few actually decided not to continue due to various reasons like co-founder issues, run out of money. So those are the ups and downs.
So will you say that those that succeeded, right, is because of their execution? Because I've a mentor who told me that you can have an idea that is super simple, like some newspaper idea or something like that. But if your execution is so good to the point where you can get customers to buy it and stuff like that, then that's more important than the idea.
Yeah, so I mean, in this world, you have 8 billion people. What makes you so sure that nobody else has the same idea?
Common have.
Yeah, so an idea I have today, probably someone else in another country would have it. Or someone else just within Singapore will have it. Well, what will make you stand out, is the way you execute. And when we talk about execution, right, it's really very much about planning, strategizing, planning things out, and quickly go to market. Right? So there are people who have an idea but choose not to do anything. Oh yeah, I have an idea, I just sit on it. But what you did is that you go and push. So I think one very good case, I think, is the Facebook and the Winklevoss brothers, right? Is a very good example of quick execution. Yeah, and of course when executed and they won, and this Winklevoss brother came and sue them for that. At the end of the day, right, Zuckerberg became a billionaire. They got 50 over million in compensation, but that's what they are, 50 over million. So you see the difference. So compensation. So the execution is a very important thing. You can have a good idea, but if your execution sucks or you don't execute at all, then it's just an idea, right? But if an idea I execute it well, it can become a world-changing startup or company.
Very interesting. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all the questions I have so far.
That's awesome.
But I think also super appreciative of you coming down, because as we both know, the kind of startup that I'm working on right now, together with a few of my friends, right, is very much focused on helping venture capitalists and people who are just starting out their ideas or wants to gain access to funds to meet on our platform, right, as a middle ground. Like, we decided to call it middle ground, and then also provide benefits for venture capitalists in terms of like the quarterly report, as you said, and also for the startup companies to really meet people just out of their own network. So I think the experience that you shared today about a glimpse of what venture capitalists is like, and some of your experiences, I'm very sure they'll be super valuable to like the people watching.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. So okay, I think with that, we've come to the end of the video. Thank you so much for your time.